Hello, welcome to Azure User Group Sweden, and thank you so much everyone for tuning in today. Hi Håkan, how are
Hello,
you?
Jonah. Yes, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. It's a sunny day actually here outside here in Sweden. How is it on your side?
Yeah, it's sunny, but it's a little bit chilly today.
Yes, and I hope that you're having a great day, everyone that are watching or tuning with us today. And before we start, let me just introduce ourselves. So let me introduce my co-community leader, Håkan. Håkan Silvernagel is a manager in AI and big data, and he is also a Microsoft AI MVP based in Norway. And he is also a community leader of course, Azure User Group Sweden, and also two other user group as the Norwegian.net user group, AI42, and he is also a public speaker and very active in the community. And yes, thank you, Håkan, for being here.
Thank you, Jonah. So Jonah Andersson, she is based in Sundsvall, Sweden, and she works as a software engineer at Forefront Consulting. And she is also an Azure MVP, a Microsoft certified trainer. She is a mentor and an international public speaker. And she is right now writing her first book for O'Reilly. And
Yes,
what is the
thank you.
book about, Jonah?
It's about Azure, of course. Yeah, very passionate about Azure. Yes, thank you so much, Håkan, for the introduction. Today, we have an interesting session coming, and it's going to be about containers as a development environment. But before we introduce our speaker and bring him to stage, let me just inform everyone about our code of conduct. So we would like to remind everyone to be nice and friendly, listen with purpose, and be thoughtful. Be respectful to others, seek to understand and not criticize. Be curious and open to share your ideas, and be inclusive and respectful in your comments or questions. And if you have questions or feedback about the code of conduct, feel free to visit this link or contact me and Håkan. And also, we will be sharing a learner badge to those that are learning with us today. So we will show this again also later for the Azure Heroes. Fika is also coming after our session. So we would like to join us later. You can save this QR code or link already to get a chance to mingle with us and also to ask direct questions to our speaker. All right. Without further ado, let me just introduce our speaker. So, our speaker today is very special because he's been part of our community for the past year and he's been joining us in all of our sessions. So, our speaker today is Ashish Singh Baghel. He is a digital technologies professional who is passionate, curious, and curious about learning modern technologies. And he works as an Azure Cloud Architect, DevOps Consultant at Tata Consulting Services. Ashish is also a community member of Azure User Group Sweden, and he shares and speak about DevOps automation, migration, and modernization of business application and IT processes. So without further ado, let's bring Ashish finally on stage.
Hi
Hey, we should have
everyone. Hi.
a clap background. Hi, Ashish.
Hi Jonna. Hi Haken. Hi everyone. It's so good to be here today as a speaker.
Yes,
Yeah.
we are
Yeah,
happy to have
we're
you.
very happy to have you.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm really excited, very happy to be talking. Yeah, I
yes.
have attended a lot of inspiring sessions in this meetup group. So yeah, looking
Yeah.
forward to present what I'm working with. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and I believe Håkan Ashish is the second speaker. I mean, community member that we have that started speaking and sharing knowledge. Right, first was
Mm,
Audrey, and then now we have Ashish. So yeah, we're
mm.
excited to have you. So let's bring your presentation on the screen.
Yeah.
And yes, all right. Let's remove ourselves. Okay. Okay.
All right, perfect. I think I can start with my talk. Yeah. Perfect. So before starting my presentation, I always like to show my one of my project which I have configured with the development containers. So yeah, let me show you a virtual machine. So I have recently created this Windows 10 virtual machine, and yeah, I would just like to show you that this virtual machine, there are not a lot of softwares installed in this VM. It's a very simple, very new virtual machine. So as you can see, it has Docker Desktop installed, it has Git installed. So Docker Desktop, I need it to run Linux containers. Git, I want it to push and pull my changes. So these are the only two main softwares installed, and I have, of course, Visual Studio Code, which is my favorite editor. All right. So yeah, just so that you know that this is a very new basic machine, and I don't have any development softwares here. Like I don't have Python. So like if I'll type Python dash dash version, nothing will happen because Python, it's telling me, Windows is telling me Python not found, right? Similarly, I don't have Node as well, right? So no development software development kits are available on my machine. Yeah. So let's just yeah, so I will just quickly show you something. So this is my GitHub repository. Okay. And what I'll do, I will quickly click on one of my projects. Okay. So this is one of my GitHub repository blog projects. So yeah, this is my personal project. I'm working on to create my own personal blogging website. So I want to show you what happens when I click on this badge in my repository. So as you can see, I have this badge called remote containers open. I can zoom in a bit so that it's visible. Yeah. So let's just see what happens when I click on this badge. Okay. So yeah. So as soon as I click this badge, it automatically started Visual Studio Code, right? And now it will do a lot of stuff in this machine. So it will VS Code will use Docker Desktop and files present inside my repository to create a development container environment for me, right? So as you can see, this is doing a lot of stuff is happening. So I can quickly start the logs so that you can see the logs. So as you can see, it's pulling base image, right? Creating configuration, and on the bottom corner you can see it's opening remote, right? So this is interesting. So we will just wait for a couple of seconds more, and we will see what happens. Yeah. So as you can see, it has now loaded my entire repository inside VS Code, and on the bottom corner it says dev container node.js. So this is cool, right? Just by clicking a button, my entire repository is cloned, my development container is up and running, and I can quickly click on plus icon to get a bash session. And let me just see what it is. So if I'll do host name, so as you can see, it's giving me a container ID as a host name, right? So if I'll do uname dash a, so this is a Linux command to check the version. So as you can see, it is now telling me that this is a Linux container and it's running on Windows subsystem for Linux, right? How cool is that? Uh, and as you can see now, I am getting a notification that my application is running on port 8000. So let's see what happens when I click on open in browser. So let me just quickly click on this button, and there you go. My website is up and running in my development container environment. So how cool was this, right? So this is what my talk will be. This is what I will talk about today. That how you can set this up, how you can configure your projects to be running inside a development container And this is very cool, right? You can just clone your repository, you can open it in any machine, right? So let's start my talk with this. So yeah, my name hello everyone, my name is Ashish, and today I'll be talking about containers as a development environment, how you can use containers to develop on them. And I will specifically talk about Visual Studio Code remote containers extension, because this extension helps you to configure your projects, your repositories very easily, right? So yeah, uh, first of all, who am I? A little introduction about me. So my name is Ashish Singh Baghel. I work as cloud and DevOps consultant. So I'm originally from India. I'm currently living in Oslo, Norway, and currently working for one of our major banking clients here in Oslo, Norway. So I mostly do automation, Azure DevOps. I work a lot with Windows containers, and we are also working a lot in migrating and modernizing our business applications. So if you are interested in any of these things, please feel free to ping me on LinkedIn. You can get all the links on my website. You can also scan this QR code to so that you have all the links, my Twitter, GitHub, LinkedIn. So just feel free to message me if anything interests you and you want to talk about it. Perfect. So now let's talk about developing inside container. So containers are very powerful. I mean, we all know containers have almost taken over the development world, right? It has drastically changed how we build application, how we ship them, right? So now containers, there's this new thing coming up, that containers now developers are utilizing it as development environments, full feature development environment. Everything you need for your development, you can install it inside container. And Visual Studio has given us very cool container extensions using which you can seamlessly integrate your Visual Studio Code features inside your container. So I will show you this today. I will show you how you can use Visual Studio Code and Docker containers as for development. So you can run any application inside the development container, and you can separate your tools, libraries, runtimes needed for working with the code base, right? Because many times you install different softwares to develop different code base, right? So let's say if you want to develop a web application, you will probably install Node.js, right? If you want to develop an API, you will probably install .NET, right? Let's say if you want to do a setup for testing, you'll probably use Python, right? So there are so many different tools and technologies available, and it's kind of better to isolate them, right? So this is what development containers help you to do. So let's say if you want to work on Python application, spin up your Python container environment, development environment, and start working on your Python application. Let's say you don't want to work on Python, stop your Python development container, spin up your Java container if you want to develop any Java application, right? No need to install anything on your local operating system. You can install and set up everything inside container, which kind of keeps your Windows systems clean, right? So this is how it looks. As you can see in this slide, that you have your infrastructure, then you have your operating system. This can be Windows operating system or Linux operating system, and then you have Docker, which is my container runtime. And I have I we can have different containers running in my machine, isolated containers. So this is how it looks, and I will talk briefly about how this technology works. So yeah, first of all, you have your local operating system. In my case, this is Windows 10 machine, but it can be any machine. All right, it can be a Linux machine, it can be Windows machine, it can be Mac operating system, any operating system. Yeah. So in this local operating system, what we have, I have Visual Studio Code installed. All right. And then what I will do, I will spin up a container. All right. And inside this container, what so VS Code has this very interesting feature, that it can have its UI portion running on a separate machine, and it can have its server portion running on a separate machine, and they can talk. So this is what makes this development containers possible, that if using VS Code you can have your user interface part of VS Code running on your local operating system, and you can have your server part of VS Code running inside a container. Now that is pretty cool, right? So this is what using this, what you can do, you can install your VS Code extensions, you can install them inside container, right? And everything related to user interface and themes, it will be available inside your local operating system. All right. And then inside container we will have our source code. Inside container has its own isolated file system, container has its own isolated terminal processes, container will have its own isolated application running, and it will have the debugger attached, right? So this is how a development container works actually. Yeah, so everything you need for development, it will be available inside a container. Perfect. So now what do you need to do this? You don't need a lot of softwares. On Windows machine, you just need Docker Desktop and WSL2 backend to spin up Linux containers. Or if you have a Mac, you only need Docker Desktop. If you have a Linux machine, you can install Docker Community Engine and Docker Compose. That's all you need to use this. So yeah, I think this is the best part which everybody is waiting for. We can talk a lot, but demo is something different, right? So yeah, what I will do right now is I will try to configure a development container environment right in front of you from scratch, so that we can see how it works. All right, perfect. So okay, let me try to connect to my yeah, let me try to connect back to my virtual machine, so that this is just to make sure, this is just to show you that I'm working on a machine which is completely new. There is nothing pre-installed inside my machine. Yeah. And if anybody has any question, please feel free to interrupt me in between. Post your questions, comments. If you have any confusion, just feel free to send them in the chat and I'll be happy to answer it. Okay. All right. Perfect. So yeah, as I have shown you already, I don't have any softwares installed on my local machine. So I will show you again. If I'll do Python dash dash version, nothing will happen, and Windows will complain that Python is not in your machine. So yeah, we will set up a Python development environment inside a container. Okay. Yeah. So first of all, what I want to do, I want to clone a GitHub repository. Okay. So let me just quickly clone it. Yeah, let me just try to. Yes. So as you can see, this is nothing but a simple git clone command, and it is pulling a Microsoft repository named mslearn Python projects. Okay, so yeah, what I will do, I will open it inside GitHub code spaces. So let me just quickly do that. And right now, this repository is present inside my Windows operating system, right? This is not inside any container or anything like that. This is just a normal setup, right? Let me quickly open a terminal. So yeah, I hope this is visible. Yes, perfect. So as you can see, this is my repository in VS Code, and I have a PowerShell terminal available to me. And this is a simple Python project, as you can see. And I also want to show you that this is a web application Flask, which uses a Flask framework. All right. So yeah, we'll set up a development environment for Python. Okay. So, but before that, let me show you what you need. So I talked about VS Code extension. So this is the remote containers extension which you will need. So whatever commands, whatever demo which I will show you, it is possible because of these extension called remote containers. So yeah, you have to make sure that this is installed on your VS Code. Yeah, you can simply search it on extensions and you can install it. Yeah. So, but yeah, now since I already have this remote containers extension installed and I have my repository available inside my local machine. So what I will do, I will press F1 in my keyboard. So as soon as I press F1 in the keyboard, it opens this command palette. All right. And in this command palette, what I will do, I will search for add dev container. Yeah. So as you can see, it's giving me an option, add development container configuration files. So this is the power of this remote containers extension, that you don't have to do anything manually. This extension will help you set up your project, and it's just click, click, click. Everything is automated. So it's like very simple to get started. So yeah, so what I will do, in my repository I'll add this development container configuration files. And as you can see, as soon as I click that, now it's giving me a lot of options. So it's a lot of pre-configured development configuration environments. It's showing me that you can use Python 3, you can use Python 3 with PostgreSQL, you can use Anaconda, Miniconda, or if you want, you can also start with the simple basic Ubuntu image. All right. But these options are coming up based on the files present inside my repository. So since it's a Python project, it's showing me all the Python options, but you can also click on show all definitions. So if you click on show all definitions, it will show you all the available development container images which are available to you. Okay, so these are predefined images which is available. So as you can see, you can use Azure, C++, Dart, Go, any Java. So like you have tons of options, R, Ruby, everything available to you. But for now, this is my Python project, so I will try to use the development environment for Python. So what I'll do, I'll quickly click on this, select this Python 3. Now this extension is asking me which version of Python you want. So for this project, I'll choose Python 3.1. Now it's asking me if you want any Node.js version inside your development container. I will select none because I don't want Node.js. And now VS Code is asking me that if you want any additional features to install. So now this is very interesting, because when you have a developer machine, you install a lot of softwares along with software development kit, right? Which helps you in development. For example, you install Git because Git helps you to push and pull changes to GitHub repository. Let's say if you're working with Azure, you might install Azure CLI on your local machine, right? So yeah, so like that you can install a lot of additional softwares which you want. So this screen, this is predefined scripts which Visual Microsoft gives you. So these are pre-configured scripts by Microsoft which you can use to install common softwares for development. So as you can see, it's giving us options to install SSH server. You can install Terraform if you're working on any infrastructure project, and it also gives you an options to install a lightweight desktop for your container. Yeah, but for now, for this project, I only want Git because I want to be able to push and pull changes. So I'll select that. And for Git version, I'll select OS provided, and that's it. This is all I did. Just click, click, click. And as soon as I did this, as you can see, this has created a new folder inside my repository. So this dev container folder is new, now newly created, available on my machine. And it, as you can see, it has two files. It has a Docker file and it has a dev container.json file. So we will talk about this dev container.json file in detail. So this is actually used to automate the configuration of your project. So we will do that in a while in this demo for this project. But for now, let me talk about this Docker file. Okay. So as you can see, this Docker file is very basic Docker file. So what I'll do, I'll remove all these comments first so that this Docker file is clean and it doesn't confuses us. Yeah. So as you can see, this Docker file is very simple Docker file, right? It just has one single from instruction, that it needs to pull this base image from Microsoft's container repository. That's it. There's nothing else in this Docker file. It is plain and simple. And if you'll see this dev container.json file, so yeah, let me just zoom out a little bit. Yeah. So in this dev container.json file, you have a lot of configurations which you can use to customize your development container. So whatever options we have selected, they are available here. So as you can see in this features option, since we selected Git to be installed and we selected OS provided, this is available here. And we have used a predefined container development container image. So that's why it is using this name Python 3. and it has already installed some extensions for Python, right? So yeah, but we will talk about this file more in a while. But for now, what I will do, since I have this dev container configuration already available in my repository, what I'll do, I will open this repository inside container. So right now this repository is inside my local operating system, but I want it to be inside a container where Python is present, right? So I will press F1 and it will give me command palette, and I'll select reopen in container. So yeah, as you can see, this option is coming up, reopen in container. So I will click here. Okay, now if you'll see, VS Code will start spinning up my development container based on the development configuration files which we have recently added. So let me just quickly open up the log so that you can see what it is doing. So it's doing a lot of cool stuff. It's building my image, right? It will pull up the Python base image from Microsoft's repository. It will install extensions for Visual Studio Code, which for Python, and it will install Git as well. It will do all that stuff, and it will give me that remote container for development, right? How cool is that? And yeah, by the time this is starting, so this is very useful, right? Because you don't have to spend time on setting up your development environment in a new machine. So for example, this development container configuration, this is version controlled in your repository, right? And since this is version controlled, this you can check it in GitHub, and anyone can just pull this repository and he can spin up his development container, and he's ready to go. Whatever tools he wants, it will be available inside this development container, whatever tools are required for development. But yeah, I think for now, I think this extension has done its thing. So now, as you can see in this bottom corner, it's telling me that you are inside a dev container, Python 3 development container. All right, so let's just inspect this container. What So I'll click on this plus icon, and as soon as I click on this, it will give me a bash session. Okay, so let's check where we are. So I'll type hostname. So best thing I do, I type hostname just to check whether I'm in my local machine. So yeah, if I'll do it, if I'll type hostname in PowerShell, it will print out the machine name, right? It's telling me it's Win10 PC001. But if I do a hostname here in this bash session, it tells me that it's a container ID, right? And let me do uname dash a, and this will tell me that you are running on Linux, you are running on WSL2, right? So this is a WSL2 container actually, which is available to me. But yeah, again, let's check whether Python is available, because Python is not on my local machine, right? So let's do that again. Python dash dash version. It will fail because Python is not on my Windows operating system, but Python is available on my development container. So let me just do this, and as you can see, it's giving me that Python version 3.1.0 is available to you for working. Sounds cool, right? Okay, so now since this is a Python project and this is a Flask project, I need to install this Flask dependency. But uh, for now, I will do this manually, but I will also show you how you can automate this dependency installation in devcontainer.json file. So you can specify this configuration in dev container so that every time when your development container is available, it will run this command to install your dependencies. So we will see that in a while, but for now, let me just quickly install this dependency. So I will do pip3 install dash dash user r requirements.txt. Yeah. So let me just quickly install this Flask framework. Perfect. So now Flask framework is available and I will try to run my application. Okay. So I will do Python and then app.py. And perfect. As you can see, as soon as I did this, it has started my development server, and it is telling me that your application is running on this IP and this port. And let me just quickly show you that VS Code is intelligent enough that there is a process running inside your container, and it has automatically forwarded this port 5000 from inside container to my local IP. So this 5000 port is now available for me. So I can quickly browse it and it will open up my browser. And as you can see, my Python Flask application, web application is up and running inside a container, Linux container on my Windows 10 machine. How cool was that? Right? But yeah, let's see a couple of more things, okay? Because there are a lot of stuff which you want to do with your development environment. You want to install a lot of software, you want to install a lot of extensions, right? You want all these commands to run automatically, right? So yeah, let's see how to do that. So what I will do, I will quickly open this dev container.json file and we will go through this file together, okay, so that we understand it, and we will configure our project, automate our project using this file. All right. So first section is like name. So you can change it to any name. This is Python 3. So I will give it a name Python 3 Ashish, just a random name. And as you can see, this is Docker file. And this Docker file is actually this file, which this dev container.json is pointing to. All right. So this is pointing to this Docker file. So whatever instructions you have in this Docker file, it will build them using this dev container.json configuration. So as you can see in the argument, it is passing that Python version 3.10 needs to be pulled from Microsoft's container repository. So it is pulling that base image based on this configuration. So I can change it here. Let's say if I want to install Python version 3.9, 3.8, anything, so I can simply change it here, and my development container will pull that specific version of Python. Okay, and node version is none because we have selected we don't want node.js. Let's talk about this customization section. So in this customization section, you have this first section called VS Code. So this section, setting sections, it is to map your VS Code settings inside container. So you don't have to worry about this section. It is, you can keep it which is like pre-populated. Okay, I don't personally map any settings, any VS Code settings from my local machine to container, but you can do that. Okay, so since we have picked a predefined configuration from Microsoft, Microsoft has already given us these settings, right? That are automatically mapped from my local VS Code to VS Code inside to my container, to the files inside my container. Yeah, so you can just keep it pre-populated, which is there. And now there is this extension section. So in this extension section, you can specify as many extensions, VS Code extensions you want inside your container, because extensions is what makes VS Code what it is today, right? Extensions is what everybody wants, everybody loves it, everybody wants to work with extensions. Yeah, so for this particular project, I can actually show you. This is actually a Python project and it uses Jinja syntax. So as you can see here, this is the Jinja syntax, and there is no syntax highlighting here, right? So this is just a plain simple black and white text coming up. So what I want that syntax highlighting to come back in my VS Code. So what I'll do, I'll go to extensions, I will search for Jinja, and let's just see. So as you can see, the topmost extension, this is the Jinja extension, which I want. So as you can see, it has 4.3 million download, a very decent rating. So I want it inside my container. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll click on settings. I will copy the extension ID. I will go back in my project. I will click on devcontainer.json and I will add this extension. So this is an array. So I can just paste this extension ID here. So similarly, you can add as many extensions as you want for your project. Okay. So we have added this who lord Jinja extension. So next time when we build this image, next time when we will restart this container, it will pull up this Jinja syntax extension. It will install it inside our container, development container, and this extension will be available for us to work with. How cool is that, right? And then there now then yeah, this forward port section we have. So in this section you can define if there are any specific ports you want to map between your container and your local operating system, right? So yeah, if you want to map any port. So for example, for this demo, VS Code was intelligent enough to detect our port 5000. So we didn't have to specify it here. But there can be cases sometimes where when VS Code is unable to detect any process running inside your container, or if you want any customized port to be forwarded, you can specify them here. For now, I will leave it blank because VS Code is automatically forwarding 5000 for me. So I don't need to worry about it. Yeah. Next, we can specify some commands, post create command. So I talked about this, right? So we had to install this requirement.txt Flask framework, right? We had to install it manually when our container was ready. But you want to automate it, right? You want VS Code to do this. So I will uncomment this section. Okay. So this is the post create command. So what it will do, it will run this command, pip3 install command, as soon as our container is created. All right. So as soon as Docker builds our container and build finishes, it that means that our container is now available. And now as soon as our container is available, we because of this VS Code dev container.json settings, VS Code will automatically run this command inside your container, so that you don't have to run this pip3 install command again and again. One more thing I want to do, I want to specify another command, post start command. Okay, so what this post start command will do, you can specify any commands here which you want to run when your container is available, when your container is created, when your create command has run. Then when everything is available inside container, run you want to run some commands, right? So what I'll do, I'll specify this command over here, that I want my container to start the Python development server automatically. Okay, so this is exactly what I'm doing here. So it will do nothing. It will just run this command and it will give me a text file in the repository, so with all the output. So we will see what happens. Okay, for now, I will just give a post start command so that every time my container is available, my Python development command, my Python development server is up and running, so that I don't have to type it manually. All right. So yeah, now this remote user. So this is the remote user. If you for your container. So the container which is available to me, it is currently running as this VS Code user. So if you want to run as a root user for your container, you can comment it out. But for now, I am fine with this. I want to run my container as VS Code user, so I will keep it like this. Yeah. And then the features, it's like these are pre pre-configured scripts which are available to us, right? So yeah, I will keep git over here just as it is. I don't want anything else. All right, so since now we have features available, we have post create command, we have post start command, and we also have extensions, we have not touched settings. Yeah, so now this dev container.json file is looking good. Okay, yeah, but one more thing. Okay, so this Docker file. Okay, so the best place where you, if you want to install any additional softwares for your development environment, the best place is to install it using this Docker file. So what I will do, just to show you that this is a very basic Debian based image. Okay, so you can use apt get commands to install whatever softwares you want inside your container. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll give a Docker run instruction, and I will install Node.js. This is just to show you that you can install any software inside your container. So what I'm doing, I'm using this apt get command to install this Node.js version 14. So when I will rebuild this container, it will install Node.js version, and then we will see whether Node.js is available or not. All right. So you can specify any software, whatever you want. Uh, it can be Node.js or anything else, right? All right, perfect. So now since everything is available, I want to rebuild my container now. So I'll press on F1, and as soon as I press F1, I will search for rebuild, and as soon as search for rebuild, it gives me an option to rebuild my container. So I'll select this because I have made a lot of changes in my configuration. Okay, so I want this configuration to be applied on new container. So I will select this option. And now what it will do, now VS Code will rebuild our container based on the configurations we have specified in our dev container.json file and our Docker file. So we can check these logs by the time it is creating, right? So this is very cool, right? But yeah, for now I'm showing you all this dev container.json features locally in a Windows 10 machine, but I will also give you a sneak peek on GitHub code spaces, that how you can use these dev container, how you can use your dev container to develop on cloud. I mean, you don't even need a Windows machine to develop. I mean, you, if you have a dev container configuration and if your code is in GitHub, you can simply use GitHub code spaces, and GitHub code spaces will give you a terminal in a browser, web browser. So you don't even need VS Code installed, you just need a browser to develop. But yeah, we will see that in a while, but for now let's just see. Okay, so now as you can see, it's configuring our dev container environment, and as you can see, it has run this post create command inside our container. So pip3 install user command is, it has been run, and as we can see, this flask dependency is available. Perfect. And as you can see, this post start command has also run. Okay, perfect. So post start command has run, and I want to show you this nohop.out, because this is the output of this post start command which we have specified here, right? So we have specified this command to run development Python in development, Python as development server, right? So since we have specified this command, VS Code has started this has run this command, and all the outputs are now coming here, available here. Okay, and again, VS Code is intelligent enough and it has forwarded the port 5000 for us, because our application is running on port 5000 inside container. Okay, so now we will, what we will do, we will quickly try to open it in browser. And as you can see, this application is up and running on port 5000, right? Pretty cool. So I didn't had to run any commands to install my dependencies. I didn't had to run any command to start the development server. It's all fully automated. How cool is that, right? So we also, let's just inspect a couple of things, because we have specified in our Docker file that we want to install Node.js as well, right? So let's just see whether Node.js is available inside our container. So what I'll do node dash dash version, and as you can see, node version 14 is available to me inside container, because we have installed node version 14. We have given the Docker file run instruction, right, for our development container environment. And also we also installed this Jinja extension, right? Jinja syntax highlighter. So let's just check whether the syntax highlighting is back on our HTML page. And yes, as you can see, this Jinja syntax is now getting highlighted. So product dot name, for loop, everything is getting highlighted. So yeah, our, this looks like our Jinja syntax extension is working perfectly fine. So how cool was this fully automated project? Your development container, your Docker file. So this is available to you, and you can push this configuration into your GitHub account, and anyone can just simply start developing. They don't have to waste time in setting up their machine for development. They will just pull your repository, open your repository in a container, and everything will be available to them. How cool was that, right? I absolutely love this feature, and I use it for my personal project. So I showed you before starting my presentation that I have this blog project where I have this Docker file and devcontainer.json file available, where I have configured my development container environment, and you can use it for any projects. I mean, I also use this for one of my Terraform projects. So what I have done, I have specified this dev container configuration to work with Terraform. So yeah, you can work with you can use this for most of your development projects, and it's very cool. Yeah. So yeah, that was all I had for demo. So let's just quickly check. what we did. Let's just quickly revise. So yeah, we have seen how we can use development containers. We have configured dev container.json file, using which we have specified extensions which we wanted to install. We have specified post create command, post start commands. But for this demo, I showed you Docker file, single Docker file. But there can be cases where you can you can use Docker Compose to spin up multiple containers for development. That is also possible. Let's say if you want a database container as well, so you can use Docker Compose. So I'll leave it to you to explore. Try to spin up a development environment using Docker Compose. And I also showed you you can pick predefined configuration from VS Code. So the Python 3 demo which I showed today, it was a predefined container configuration. But you can also use anything. You can also start from scratch. You can use a simple basic Ubuntu image, and yeah, you can install softwares, extensions, whatever you want on a basic image as well from scratch. And the features options, we have seen that I have used features, git features option to install git. But yeah, you can install many customized many softwares which are like very basic for development. Common softwares are available for you to install inside your container using this features option. So like Azure CLI or AWS CLI. Yeah. And one last thing, GitHub code spaces. So whatever demo I showed you, I showed it to you on local machine, but GitHub has this very cool feature called GitHub code spaces. So using code spaces, you can develop inside a browser. So as you can see, you can using this code spaces feature, what GitHub will do, GitHub will give you a terminal, and in this terminal you will have your all the softwares and everything available, which you have configured for your development container. So this uses code spaces, uses your dev container configuration to give you the softwares and the terminal which you want inside a browser. So but this code spaces feature, this is not yet available for individual users. This is only available for enterprises for now. But soon Microsoft, I think, will announce it to be available for individual users. So you can use GitHub code spaces. But since I have attended Microsoft build and I have access to GitHub code spaces, so I can quickly show you. So this is my blog project. So what I'll do, I'll quickly press on dot. And as soon as I press on dot, this will open my repository inside browser. Okay. And yeah, let me just quickly wait. I will zoom it a bit. So as you can see, this is a browser, and my repository is actually available in a browser. And I will click on this remote explorer option, and this will list GitHub code spaces available for me. So as you can see, this blog repository has the code spaces. So I'll quickly click on connect so that it attaches, it spins up the code spaces for me. So as you can see now, it is using my dev container configuration to spin up a code space. So this is nothing but a machine running on cloud. And I will get the terminal available to me inside browser for development. So yeah, we will just quickly wait for this code spaces to start up, and then we will see how cool it is that you don't need anything to for development. You just need GitHub account and you just need a browser to work on any projects, be it Python, Node.js, Terraform, anything. Yeah, so as you can see, this is now starting code spaces, and as you can see in the bottom corner, it's showing me that code spaces is now available, and my this blog project is now available. So let me just quickly show you host name. So as you can see, host name now it's showing me as code spaces, and can show you that node is available. So I can do quickly node dash dash version, and node version 16 is available for my project. How cool is that, right? And there's no hop.out. This will show me the output of my development server. So it is running my development command, and now as you can see, it's telling me that port 8000 is available, so I can quickly open it in browser. So my blog website, I'm developing it inside a remote machine in a GitHub code space in a browser, and I can debug it. I can inspect my changes by using this port forwarding inside a browser. So yeah, I thought this is pretty cool, and I was absolutely amazed when I figured out these features. So I was like, maybe it will be worth sharing it with others, what I am using and how I am using it. So I'll recommend everybody to try it out. Yeah. So that's all I had for today. This was my talk. And if you have any confusion, if you have any questions, you want to reach out to me, you can do that. All the Yeah, all the links and everything are now available to you on the screen. You can also scan this QR code. It will redirect you to my yeah, it will redirect you to my yes, my website. Yeah, that's all I had. I hope this will be useful.
Yes, hi. Yes, thank you so much, Ashish, for the great session. Yes, I learned a lot. It was very interesting and interactive as well. We have feedback, great feedback from our audience, from Happy Unicorn. I believe it's Chris.
Yeah,
She
thank you,
said,
Chris.
fantastic demo of a really cool, funny functionality. Thank you. And then Audrey is also saying thank you for your presentation
Mm,
and a question.
yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that's a very great question, Audrey, and I'm so happy that you asked. So thank you for posting this. So Audrey is saying that she has never worked with containers. So why would she use containers? And why would she start using development containers? And that's a very valid question. When does it become a need to use containers for development? Okay, so Audrey, the problem was like, so let's say if you are working on a big project, okay, so let's say if I'm working on a .NET project, so I install a lot of softwares. So let's say if I'm working on a .NET project, I'll install a NuGet package. I'll probably install Azure CLI and I'll configure it for my use. So if you are working in a company, you will install Azure CLI and you will configure that CLI to authenticate it with cloud, right? So you do a lot of customizations. So the machine which you have, it's specific to you, it's personalized to you. We don't realize, right? We don't realize what all things that we are installing in our machine, but our machine is complete stranger to other. So if someone else will try to work with your project, he won't be able to start immediately, because there are a lot of customization, a lot of configurations which are manual, which you will have to probably tell your partner that, okay bro, you are using node, you are using this .NET, so you probably need to install this extension as well, which will help you in development. You probably need to authenticate using Azure CLI. So you have to install a lot of other softwares along with software development kit. You have to configure it as per the requirements of your project. So all that can be automated on with the dev containers. So what I can do, my blog project is available, so anyone can just clone it and he can simply run it on containers. He doesn't need to worry about anything else. So what tools I'm using, everything will be available to him. So yeah, it reduces the effort for anyone to get started, right? So you can simply clone a project and start working on improving it, start resolving issues. I hope that answers. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. I agree. Also, I'm sure Audrey also agrees. That's really a good point,
right.
Ashish. I did actually, while you're showing the GitHub code spaces, I did actually try to do that on my own, and it's pretty powerful that you could do it in your browser. Yeah.
Right.
So we also, yeah, that's great. We also have a lot of feedback from Donna May. Yeah, Smaurgur. It
Thank
was
you.
awesome. Also, Hokan with us here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great feedback. Great session. Audrey, great. And just, yeah, from Don, very good presentation. I will definitely use it with my personal project. And yeah, just appreciation, Ashish. Very great job. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, I'm so happy to see lot of comments and lot of feedback. So thank you so much. And Dan, if you feel like, if you are struggling, if you feel like you need any help, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to help you in with the containers and code spaces. So anybody, just feel free to reach out to me if you need any help or any guidance. I'll be happy to help you. Yeah.
Yes.
So yes, the question, Ashish, here, or a clarification, because with the GitHub code spaces, is that for
Yep.
free or do you need to pay to use it?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So, for my case, I attended this Microsoft build actually. So during Microsoft build, Satya Nadella actually announced free access to GitHub code spaces who were registered for build. So I am using GitHub code spaces for free, but this feature is not yet available for individual user, and when it will be available, you'll have to pay for it. So they will charge you, and I think it will be very minimal charge based on the machine type which you select. So what I'll do, I will ask you to search for code spaces. Yeah, so just search for code spaces and you can, yeah, keep an eye on this website. So you can get all the details, all the instruction which you want. So as you can see, it has like a lot of powerful, you can spin up powerful machines. Yeah. And yeah, you'll have to pay for it. That's the thing. So
Yes.
yeah, price is attached.
I think I got a preview, Ashish. I think I wasn't also on build. That's why it worked when I just pressed dot. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But I hope soon, definitely it will be available for personal or private
personal.
use
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
but
Do we have?
remote.
Go ahead. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Remote containers is available, so you can develop on containers on your local machine. So GitHub code spaces is like different feature, but yeah, you can develop with containers on your local machine as well. Yeah,
Yeah, I just want to add a note that as a developer, it's really a great tool, especially that like we each developer can have like a Windows, can have Apple, or I mean, or Mac, so it makes it easier for us to like get started on what the things that we need to do in the development. So this is great innovation.
yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I just want to show you a couple of more things. Just want to give you a thing about code spaces, that using code spaces, you don't have to worry about signing your code, right? So signing your code, you have to, if you want to set up that in your local machine, you have to install a PGP key, right? And then you have to upload that key inside your, yeah, inside GitHub, so that GitHub marks your commits as verified commits. So as you can see, I have this GPG keys, GPG keys available. So signing your code you in code spaces is very simple. So in my last talk, one of the guy asked like how you will sign your code when you are using code spaces. So the answer is very simple. You can just simply check this box in the GPG verification. No need to set up anything. You don't need any key or anything. GitHub will automatically sign your code based on your identity. So it's just clicking the selected repository and selecting the repository where you want this signing feature. And also you can have your secrets attached to your code spaces. So as I'm showed you, I have a Terraform project. So I'm using this Terraform cloud secret, which is getting mapped to my code space. So this is specific to me. It won't be available to anybody else. So I can develop and connect to Terraform cloud using this secret. So yeah, just wanted to show you that a lot of different functionalities which you want for development are available to you on code space. Yeah, very cool.
Yes. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. All right, time is running out. Yeah. So before we, thank you so much, Ashish, for the great presentation. I think I will look up the recording and check on your repo to get started. I myself as well for this. But before we end our live stream, I want to share to everyone the QR code for the Azure Learner Badge. So if you missed this one at the beginning of the session, feel free to scan it to claim your Azure Heroes Learner Badge. And if you have time, you are welcome to join us on our after session fika, about 15-20 minutes. If you missed to ask questions during the live stream, or if you want to say hi to us in Zoom. All right. Thank you so much. Do you have anything else, Håkan, that we missed before we end?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Yes. Okay. So thank you so much, Ashish, and everyone, our friends that joined us live today. I appreciate your time and hope to see you on the Fika and our upcoming session in 2 weeks. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, thank you so
Bye
much.
bye.
See you again. Bye.
Bye.